Hello, and welcome to an exciting episode of Watch Me Ramble About Nonsense. I was going to put off making this log until I possibly reached 200 subscribers. For the last couple weeks, I've been hovering at 184 to 185. It keeps flipping between those two numbers, but the analytics page says I have neither gained nor lost. So I am slightly perplexed by that. But I was also originally going to do this when I, hit some view number thresholds that I have oddly rocketed past. I know half of the subscribers, more than half of the subscribers, and about 90% of my channel's views are from the best of the Scotsman. I'm going to be honest. Scotsman is very popular, and if he was here, he would tell me to shut it. But, while on the note of the Scotsman, the Volume 2 got deleted because I got hit with a copyright strike on it. I also, a month ago, got hit with a copyright strike for that fairy tale montage. I'm probably going to be avoiding making any kind of videos like that, because if I get hit with a third strike, well, my account gets deleted, or is at risk for being deleted. And I'd really rather not have that happen. If by chance it does, I will, I will return. But if I, just a warning there. The Scotsman Volume 1 is currently set to private while I try to make contact and find out whether that's a bad thing for me to have or not. You've probably noticed by now at the... Well, I don't even know why I'm wearing this at this point. You've noticed that I sound very different without the headset on. I'm sorry, that distracted me. You've noticed that in the bottom right now there is a pop filter and microphone. I kind of splurged and went and got a new microphone, so I will be experimenting with trying to make the audio sound better. I've removed the need for some of the background filters that were filtering out some stuff that the fancy little thing here will do for me. And overall, this should improve sound quality. Also, it removes the need for the constant, oops, is the microphone up or down or at the right angle. It just fixes a few things, because I was in the background having to put a noise suppressor, a noise gate, and then a noise gain to undo some of the other stuff. Some background filters were trying to help, which I can now remove. I do still have the compressor running to balance the volume out and make sure that I don't blow anybody's eardrums, and to make sure that the games don't overcrowd me. Because again, some of the Dark Souls boss fights were getting to where I would look back at it after I'd record it and I'd be like, I know what I said, but I can't hear it, and this makes me sad. So the compressor on there is to try to keep the game's audio slightly below. Like, if I'm screaming and the game is screaming, I should come through a little bit louder. Like, we both have a peak set up there. Also, while I'm talking about games, I am always open to, like, game suggestions and stuff. I know, only like 2 or 3 people watch these things, but if you got any suggestions, I'm open to hear them. Not 100% chance I will say yes to a given suggestion. There are a few games I'm intentionally avoiding. Like, I'm not going to do the Five Nights games. Markiplier has done them. Those are his domain, and I'm not trying to infringe upon any of that, aside from when I did Five Nights World. But that was a different game into itself. I've had some recommendations for games that included some GameCube and N64 games. And depending on the genre, depending on the game, and depending on if I've played it before, some of these suggestions may be yes and maybe no. Some types of games just are not as easy to make interesting commentary for if you've already played it, as I've found with the Dark Souls. I had to do some things to make it interesting and keep me out of my usual comfort zone. Well, by comfort zone, I mean use different weapons and tools and things than I normally would do. Again, first time with the dagger, or large dagger for tall people. I do have a list of games in the future I'd like to get to. Some of which have been recommended to me, some of which I picked up through Steam sales, and some of which were free and or just I found. Trying to think of an example, but I can't think of one off the top of my head. Well, there's a few examples I could give, but I'd rather not spoil any, future games I'd like to play. I mean, that I'd like to, you know what I mean. This is why people take improv classes. It helps them with their speaking. One other topic I'd like to mention while I'm here. I know my channel has kind of an odd name. There's a story behind that. Back when I was in college, I was in a software engineering class. I did not have a Google account at that point in time. The teacher required us to have a Google account for our group project for, sharing of data and stuff before we ended up moving to GitHub and using some other versioning software. Well, I'm a shy person, so to be slightly funny, slightly sarcastic, made a Google account under the name Anonymous. I took the word anonymous, broke it into two pieces. It was months later than that I made the YouTube channel and used that account. Well, I then found out that the name on your Google account goes to your YouTube account because Google owns YouTube now and yada, yada, yada. I hear Verizon owns Yahoo and AOL now. That was an odd announcement. It took Yahoo Messenger down for a few days too, which was equally interesting. But point being, I discovered within a few months that having a channel name in any shape or form similar to the word anonymous means that you're just about impossible to search for. People would ask for my channel and I would try to give it to them, and I would give them the name and they would search for it, and I'm sorry, I can't find your channel. There are thousands of anonymouses in front of you. So I went to Google and began changing my name. I experimented between a few things and learned the hard way that you can only change your name 3 times per 6 months. So then I got locked out of that for 6 months. I'm going to be honest, Google or YouTube could have been a little more straightforward and said when you change it the first time that, hey, you got 2 tries remaining before you get locked out for 6 months. 2 names remaining. Well, during those 6 months, I came up with the binary GamerFox tag. Binary is, multiple meanings, 2 parts of a whole, and also programmer, so. And then I'm a gamer, and then the whole Fox motif. But in recent months, I've been thinking that it's not really a catchy name. It's a nice name. I got nothing against it. But it just doesn't feel like quite a catchy name, and I'm not really sure what direction I want to go with the name from there. I'm thinking of a few things. I'm again shy, so I prefer to avoid using my physical day-to-day name on here. I've thought about Anofox, Anodan, a few other combinations, but I will be kind of toying with ideas from there. Not that I expect this channel to ever be super popular, to the point of some of the bigger names, but, I'm up for adapting and changing things and, coming up with better names. Also be making a better, profile picture and banner and all that, but those are future things. As always, like with the games, I'm up for suggestions if you got any, if you want to give any, realistic suggestions, mind you, no. Well, if you want to be funny, go ahead and make joke comments. I'm not stopping you from that. But I'm naturally going to look through if there are suggestions and filter out any that are obviously, jokes. I'd respond to them, of course. I just wouldn't be using them for actual names. But I feel like I've kind of rambled for quite a bit on here. It's partly a sound test, I will honestly admit at this point. I'm hoping that the new microphone and all will help. It was a pain to set up, I will give you that much. Not the hardware state, but the fact that my desk stops way up here, and the microphone's range requires it to be way out here, so I had to do some stuff including 2x4s, a saw, and tying stuff together, and it was a lot of interesting fun. So far, it seems to be a very nice microphone. It's just I underestimated the fact that you can't be, a foot away from it. It's currently, that far from my mouth. which the pop filter helps a lot with. The pop filter being this round, fuzzy thing that makes it so when I make p sounds or hard consonants or blow at it, that the filter stops it, and so it's not the equivalent of me blowing in your ear, which other microphones without a filter would have problems with. It also has a big sound wall booth thing I could put up, but that would be redundant because there's a monitor right behind it. I have a 3-monitor display and whatnot. But I think that about covers everything. So if you've watched this far, I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy watching the gameplays. If not, I'm sorry. I'm willing to take suggestions if you think there's something I can improve. Again, constructive criticism is a wonderful thing. There's a difference in criticism and constructive criticism, but I'll leave it to you to find the difference. And if you just want to be critical, go right ahead. It's the internet, I guess. It's not exactly going to hurt my feelings. I play enough League of Legends. I get enough hurt feelings out of that. Support joke. But, well, it doesn't really hurt my feelings. But I get enough random people that think they can hurt my feelings. Anyway, like I said, thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging around. And I will see you next time. On the next game, I suppose. I mean, if you want to sit around and wait for the next video log, you can do that too. Or watch games and then wait for the video log. Either way, bye-bye.